Okay, so this is a Niner.
This is one of our latest releases. It's called the Jet 9, and again, we talked about why certain bikes are built, and we got a lot of responses back from our customers. Our Air 9, which is a hardtail frame, was being used for racing, but we got a lot of people saying, "Hey, I want a little bit of suspension." A lot of the races I do are rocky, and a lot of riders are saying, "Hey, you know what? My back hurts. I just want to get a little oomph off the back end of the bike." But I want something snappy and light. I don't want something big and heavy to lug around. So Steve and I set forth more than a year ago now designing this bike, and we feel that we've met all of our design objectives in that this bike is lightweight. The main thing is that it's efficient. Your pedaling energy, when you're pedaling on the bike, we've designed the bike so that all your energy gets back to the rear wheel. A lot of bikes will sacrifice that in the name of weight, and we feel that acceleration is more important than weight savings.
So tell us about your suspension system here. That's quite unique.
Yes, our suspension system is called CVA, which stands for Constant Variable Arc, and it's a suspension design that we developed on our own. We've gotten 7 or 8 different independent magazines that have tested the system and have written really nice things about the suspension system. This suspension system was again voted for Bike of the Year and also People's Choice Award through a very big online forum called MTBR. But the suspension system basically has an instant center that's in front of the chain rings. The way the suspension system works, it allows you to be instead of just being tied to being in the middle ring, you can be in the middle of the granny ring, and the suspension system will be active in either one. A lot of suspension systems rely that you be in a certain gearing ratio in order to lock the suspension in place. Our suspension doesn't lock under chain load, it's allowed to move freely on its own. Again, a lot of details that we spend on the bike itself. The bike is designed to run all the new forks from Fox, Reba, and Manitou. And we came up with new cable routing for the bike so that the bike shifts really well, cables don't get in the way. Just little tiny details like using more expensive cable guides that can be used with zip ties or with clips are little touches that we spend a lot of time thinking about. And also the finishing on the bikes. We anodize these parts. You'll notice they'll match the Fox piece. Rebound adjuster will actually take these pieces that we have and have them anodized at the same factory. So when guys go to build the bikes, if they look integral and look nice. And those are some of the details that maybe may not make your ride any better, but people that spend time with their bikes and polishing their bikes and getting new shiny parts, it's just a little added feature that we spend a lot of time on.
Another thing you do?
Other things that we spend time on is the head tubes are all faced and reamed already from the factory. You can see that this has already been reamed and polished and ready to go. We actually spec our head tubes for Chris King headsets. You don't have to use a Chris King headset, but we go down to the trouble of making this 1/1000th of an inch to spec that they provide for head tubes. The bottom brackets are all pre-reamed from the factory. All the bottom bracket faces are also reamed so that when you're using external bottom brackets, that the two bottom bracket halves are perfectly parallel, so your bearings will last a lot longer and also have a much better free rolling crankset. The rear brake tabs you'll see back here are faced from the factory, so when you're going to set up your brakes these are already aligned in parallel with the rear dropouts. So a lot of details go into all of our frames, and this is a feature you'll find even on our most inexpensive bike that we sell.
Cool.
The Sur 9, and just to give you a little background about our bikes, all of our bikes are called Niner, obviously, but each of our bike names are 3 letters. So they're either a 3-letter acronym or they're just a 3-letter, like Air 9 is just Air 9 and 1 is just 1. But the Sur 9 stands for Steel is Real, and we have another bike called the EMD, which is Eat My Dust. We have a new bike coming out called the WFO, which is wide full open. So if you're wondering why we have some strange things on our bikes, that's the philosophy behind our bikes, and our bikes are all named after 3 letters. How that came about, I don't remember why, but it just happened, and it's just kind of stuck, and that's just where we are. But this bike is the bike I told you about earlier. It's made out of Reynolds A53. We spent a lot of time developing this bike, and it's probably one of our best-selling bikes that we have. this bike is very versatile in that it can be run with a single speed, or you can mount a derailleur on the front, and there's hidden cable guides, and you can make this into a geared bike. The bike you see right now is set up as a single speed.
What's the advantage of a single speed?
The big advantage of a single speed is just part of it is just an ethos of riding, that you're just one with the bike, and that you're not spending any time thinking about what gear should I be in, or coming down a hill, what gear should I shift up in to come up a hill. You're just thinking about pedaling and braking, and that's it. And it's funny because when I first started single speeding, I had heard a lot about it, and I built one on a fluke, and the first couple of tries I was like, holy cow, how do these guys climb up hills on these things? But you know, your body's an amazing thing, and it just adapts. And after a week or two of riding a single speed, you'll find you're making all the climbs you were making before. You can make them again. You're huffing and puffing when you get to the top, but you can still clean them, and it's all doable. But I think the thing that comes about single speeding is just the purity of riding. Again, it just comes back like a lot like myself. If you race BMX, I mean, you just had one gear, and all you did was pedal one gear all day long, and it's just kind of fun. Single speedings are a challenge in certain areas, and in some areas it's just a lot of fun because you don't have to worry about maintenance. I mean, you have a very simple drivetrain. The efficiency of the drivetrain of only having one gear and basically a perfectly aligned chain line means that the system itself is very efficient. And I noticed the bikes are just faster just because of that. Obviously the bikes are lighter because you don't have as much pieces of equipment on the bike. There's less maintenance, so people that ride in the mud or in the snow or in adverse conditions will notice that a single speed, you know, a lot of times will just be the right bike to pull out of your quiver to ride with. But again, this bike's been an amazing bike to ride. One thing we like to stress with people when they're building their single speeds is the chain rings, because the one call we get the most of every day here is my chain keeps falling off. And you have to understand that if you take your chain ring and you use the stock, this is an XTR crank, and you use the stock XTR 32 chain ring, well, that chain ring has ramps on it. So that chain ring is designed to get the chain off these teeth. And on the rear, the same thing goes too. If you're pulling a cog out of your cassette and putting it on here, the chain is designed to come off of that. So you want to use dedicated front chain rings and rear chain rings. And you know, we produce a rear chain ring, and we're going to be coming out with this new front chain ring. But the main difference is that the teeth are profiled differently. So the teeth are actually higher. So if you compare these teeth to the teeth on your other chain ring, these are about 2 to 3 millimeters higher. So one, they stick up in the chain so the chain can't fall off. The grooves are deeper so that the chain sits within the chain ring better, and there are no ramps on the chain ring, so it's not designed to release the chain. Also, we go through the trouble of, this is actually a BMX chain or a track, and sometimes we'll use track chains because again, these are not designed to bend and move the plates, so they're designed to stay on a system like this. If you build a system with a track chain or a BMX chain and using dedicated front and rear chain rings, you'll notice you'll never ever have a drop chain again.